Maybe some of you remember that. That was music that thousands of students from 1983 to 2014 graduated with. It's originally called the Westwood Commencement March. It became the Lincoln Alexander Commencement March, and known to band people as the March. Has an interesting story, both at the very beginning and at the very, very end. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you will remember marching in to award ceremonies and commencement, and then marching out. Certainly a lot of teachers will remember that because they heard it year in, year out. The story was that when I took over in September of 1983, the then principal, who I had mentioned, had a particular disagreement on with the then music teacher, Carl Wallhauser, my predecessor. It was sometime in September, and back then we did commencement in October. And we did it for a lot of years in October. It was kind of homecoming, blah, 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 same sort of thing. For some reason, they decided to make it June, which was a big, big mistake, and so it stayed there. But it used to be October. And we're sitting there, and he's saying, "You got the band ready for commencement?" I'm going, "Yeah, we're ready to go." And he said to me, pick a different piece for the march in, because the old guy, and he didn't use those words, used to use the whole pomp and circumstance for years and years and years and years, because that's what was traditionally done. And he says, "I want something different." I went, "Okay, I'll do something a little bit different." And then me, being the foolish young music teacher thingy that I was, said to him, "Oh, maybe I'll write something for this." And he went, "Okay." And I realized afterwards that was A, stupid, and B, stupid, because I only had 2 weeks to do it and rehearse it. So I had to write something simple that could be looped. So I wrote it, and here it is. I don't know if you can see that. This was the original. And, oops, hit the microphone. As you can see, it's done in pencil. And it's a lot of scratching out stuff and reworking stuff and instrumentation. And it's torn and it's all kinds of things. But it's historic. And I even have my signature on the bottom, 1983, and that's my signature. So this document, there's a story about this document that I'll get into in a few minutes. That became the March In, and the first time it was done was during an October awards ceremony, which was the morning before the evening commencement. And the principal at the time wasn't one to give a lot of compliments. He wasn't Mr. Complimentary, unless you were one of his cronies. But he came up to me afterwards and he said, "I like it. It's good. It's unique. It's cool. It's different. And we have our own," which I never realized. Very few schools have their own march. So that was our march, and that was our march for every single commencement, and I did 31 of them at that school, plus 3 more at Morningstar, where we used the Westwood Commencement March. Yeah, it was, because I didn't want to play pomp and circumstance, and the people graduated. It was kind of a drill, after all the years of Morningstar doing this to us with the music program that they had. They at one time They spent $40,000 on equipment, electronic equipment and synthesizers and all kinds of crap that all conveniently disappeared when a certain music teacher from Morningstar left. And so did 90% of the equipment left with him, but we shall not get into that. But anyway, so it's been played and it's been remembered, and more than a few students have come up to me and said, you don't know how they played in the band, for example, and they played that piece, but when it was their turn to march in, so many of them said to me, I'm not going to play in the band for commencement. I said, why? I want to march into that music. And I want to march out to that music. That music means something to me. And that's kind of cool. That's really cool. I appreciated that. So that's what it was, and this is the original. Okay, which I have. Why do I have it still? On my very, very last day at the school, which was the June something, late June, after we had done commencement in 2014. And we had that new principal, that woman that came in February. And we had a very, very tall vice principal whose name escapes me, but he went on to become a principal. Nice guy, super guy. And we're sitting I'm in the office waiting room kind of area. And I had the whole folder in my hand. And I said to him, this is a very important document. Very few historical documents survive from the history of Westwood and Lincoln. Very few survive. This does. This is a historic document. Not only that, but thousands upon thousands of students have heard it many times, have graduated to it, have walked across the stage, and it means a lot. And I thought what I would do is I would donate it to the school and have them, frame it or do whatever they wanted to do with it. And I gave it to the vice principal. And at that point, the principal had just appeared out of nowhere. And so he had it in his hands, and he was saying to the principal that Mr. Kaplan is donating this to the school. It's the Commencement March. And something about framed, or we'll have it framed or something. And this principal never, ever, ever remembered a name. She would refer to you as sir or miss. And she took it out of his hands, gave it back to me, and she said to him, when Sir has it framed, he can give it back to us and maybe we'll put it up on a wall. That's what she said. And she was only at the school for about a year and a half, then she moved on. But when you have a labor of love, then you've done something and you've invested decades in this piece, and you want to donate it to the school because you feel that it has some kind of importance, some kind of significance to the lives of students who have come and gone, and then you get it handed back to you saying, good, you frame it, you give it back to us, maybe we'll put it up on a wall. Okay, that's the kind of person that she was. And I took it, and his jaw hit the floor. The vice principal. I don't know what, and I just walked out. Walked out of the office, put this in my briefcase, took it home with all the other books and stuff like that. And that was the last time I went back to the school. Maybe I went back one more time. But major slap in the face. But that's, that was, I guess, typical. When some people graduated, when some teachers left the school and They were there for maybe 2, 3 years, and maybe they did something, maybe they didn't, and they were given this hoo-ha goodbye party thingy, and gifts and stuff like that. And we had one VP who was there for 3 years, and he was given a big goodbye. What did I get? A picture frame. That's sitting over here. I'm not even showing it to you. That's all I got. A picture frame after 31 years and thousands of performances and stuff. I'm griping, but I'm on a roll, I guess, I suppose. But it's all right, because what I got instead was the lasting contact with thousands of you guys, which you can't buy, and I appreciate that, and I treasure that. I treasure that. I really do. So that's the story of the Commencement March. It was written because I opened my mouth and said, "Yeah, I'll write one." And then it became like, "Okay, I'll call your bluff, write one." So I did. And it was liked, and it was not questioned from that point on. I mean, we did it every single year. Every single principal and vice principal and superintendents and director of education and everybody who came to all these major events, because I mean, commencement is the major event of any school year. I mean, it's the culmination of a student's 4 years of labor and toil and getting sworn at by under their breath by the teachers, but it's the culmination of your high school career, your high school life, and it's an important document because it served a purpose. It marched people in, it marched people out. It was significant. It identified the school. Superintendent after superintendent after executive would come up to me after a commencement or after an awards ceremony where we would do this and say to me, "Where did you get that piece of music? I mean, other schools want to borrow it." I said, "No, I wrote it specifically for the school. I'm the composer, and it's not for sale and it's not for lend." Anyway, so why do I still have it? Because a principal decided to, I don't know, just be a jerk. Here, you have it framed and give it back to us. No, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Well, it's their problem. It's their fault. She's been replaced by another principal, and I think they're on maybe I don't know if there's a principal again. I thought about redonating it, but it means nothing to anybody there at this point in time. Clearly, anything Westwood means nothing to anybody there, because unless they've changed significantly, this even still has, I don't know if you can see it, it says Westwood March, WW March. Okay. And yeah, I don't think they're interested in it. Anyway, so that's today's topic. I'm going to try and keep it short. It's 15 minutes already. So that has a great. If you remember the piece, let me know. Pardon my butchering it on the piano, but I wanted to start with that. And my hands don't work properly at this stage of the game. Anyway, after some of you may know that I had a heart operation about a year and a half ago, and my hands are still not the same. But anyway, that's the march. If you remember it, that's cool. You're in an exclusive class. If you remember that march and you marched into it and you marched out with it, or you played it, you are one of very, very, very few schools in Canada that has their own identifying march, that don't do the pomp and circumstance march by Elgar that every other school does. Well, okay, that's it for today. That's all I got time for. It's all I got effort for. We will be. I'll be back in another couple days. Leave comments, subscribe, send money, send lots of money, um, and send me your memories of the march. Um, Actually, I have one story. I'm going to tack it on at the end. There was a story that I was supposed to hold off on the march until I got a wave from a teacher out in the hallway, and then we would start, because that's the way I would know people were lined up in the hallway of the school, and we start the march, and they start coming in, and then we keep looping it. The longest we played the march was, I think, 20 minutes in a row, and then we went right into "O Canada." Well, this teacher, I told him, wave, and we'll start. He was wandering in the hall, and he waved at me. So we started playing. And we played for 15 minutes, and there was nobody coming. He was just waving. Anyway, there's more stories involved. I'll get into them next time. We're done for today. Be good, get both shots, or I'll give you a shot, and we'll speak to you later.